and anxiety start to manifest themselves? Well, that's explored in Appendage. What's up, YouTube Zero here? And today I have a horror movie review of Appendage, which is streaming now on Hulu. In this video, I'll go over a brief synopsis of Appendage, then I'll get into what I liked and what you may like, and what I didn't like and what you may not like in this movie. Then I'll get into, after the likes and dislikes, if I think you should check out Appendage. And at the end of the video, I'll give you my rating out of 10. So make sure you stay around for that. Without further ado, let's talk about Appendage. A young fashion designer's life spirals as her darkest inner thoughts manifest into something more gruesome that won't stop growing. So based off of that synopsis, this movie can go in several directions. I'm not going to spoil anything. I want you, if you decide to watch this movie, to learn about it on your own. But really, that can take several different directions. Is this a psychological horror? Is this a normal horror? Is it a combination of the few? Well, you start to learn more as the movie goes on. But one thing that you may like, and something that I did like, was the message about the movie was clear. So let's talk about what I liked and what you may like. If you enjoy a movie where the message is clear, I enjoyed this part, and the message was straightforward. It's okay to suffer from anxiety, mental stress, but don't shut people out of your life, and accept it and learn how you can cope with those type of mental stresses and anxiety. So that part of the movie was straightforward and clear, and I definitely enjoyed it. There are some horror movies where I don't actually care for the message, or maybe I can't find the message that the director is trying to portray, or maybe there's not a message. I know some horror movies, and maybe I'm wrong, but some horror movies don't have a message. This one did, and it was very clear and in your face. So that's something you may like, or you may not like that. Maybe you just like horror movies that are slashers where a killer goes around cutting up a bunch of people. And that's okay, but that's not this movie. This movie's a little different, where it has the main actress focusing on her mind, what she's going through, what she's feeling, etc. So you get that, and you get the message that's very straightforward. Something else that I enjoyed was, and I mentioned it previously, as the movie was going on, it really could have taken several directions. Was this a psychological horror? Was this a real horror with a monster? What's going on here? And I kind of like that it kept me guessing, at least until closer to the end, where I was like, okay, I know what type of horror movie this is. Whereas at the beginning, it was really the build-up. Is this psychological? What are we going through? Is this just all in this young woman's head, or are we getting a little bit deeper and it's not just in her head? You're kind of going back and forth as to thinking what this could be, and I enjoyed that about this movie as well. The main actress hasn't been in really a ton. She's been in a couple of TV shows, but she plays Hannah, and she does a very good job of portraying someone with anxiety and those self-doubts. And I really enjoyed watching her and her story. And something else that you may like, and something that I liked, was that the characters in general were characters that you could relate to. Whether you're the main character, Hannah, who's suffering from anxiety and that self-doubt, I'm sure there are a lot of people that can relate to that, or her friends and parents who can't relate to it but want to help in the best way they can. You could be on one end of the spectrum, but there is a character in this movie that you can relate to. It's just a matter of, do you relate to the person suffering the self-doubt and anxiety, or do you relate to the person who really wants to help, but you don't know how? You really can find somebody in this movie that you can relate to, and that's something that I enjoyed as well, is that there were characters that you could really relate to. Now let's go to some things that you may not like about this movie. Now ultimately, and this is like in the middle, is that you may or may not enjoy kind of what's happening as the movie progresses. Again, this movie's straightforward. You know what you're gonna get in terms of what the message is and kind of where it's going. Regardless of what type of horror movie this is, you already know where it's going, kind of where it's gonna end up. It's straightforward in terms of you can kind of see the progression as to, okay, we're gonna hit this first, then we're gonna hit this, then we're gonna hit this. You can just see the build-up coming. Now, there is a little bit, somewhat, of a twist, you can say. I didn't think there really was that much of a twist, but again, more straightforward, and that may be something that you don't like. If you think about, I don't know, a movie like Saw, where there are a whole bunch of twists and turns, you're not going to get that really from this movie. On top of that, you don't have many known actors. Now, this really isn't a plus or a minus, but if you're looking for Brad Pitt, you're not going to find him in this movie. I'm not even sure Brad Pitt has really done any horror movies, but you're not going to find any big name actors. Not that that really means much in terms of my viewing pleasurability, but if that's something you're looking for, you may not get that as well. The only thing that I really didn't like as much, and you may not like, was it was very simplistic of a movie. Again, the plot is straightforward, the message is straightforward, it was pretty simplistic. It kind of followed a static linear line, and it just was straightforward, which was okay, not great. But ultimately, this was a decent movie in which the message was straightforward, the characters were relatable, and it was a decent horror to follow, not knowing if it was psychological or other type of horror, but it was a good movie nonetheless. So I definitely recommend at least checking this out once, and my rating is a 6 out of 10. It was a good movie, definitely worth a watch, had a good message and a good storyline. The characters were relatable, despite the fact that it was pretty simplistic. Let me know in the comment section what you think if you've seen this, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more horror movie reviews. I'm doing a bunch of other movie reviews and video game content, so feel free to check those out as well. Until next time, stay spooky. Peace.